What is going on, 12s? The front office is clearly not satisfied with what they saw during our rough preseason loss against Dallas. We just got a confirmed update about a brand new running back arriving from the college ranks to shake up the depth chart. To make room for this powerhouse arrival, management officially confirmed the departure of 2 other running backs from the roster. Stay until the end to hear all the details, and please like and subscribe. Anthony Hankerson signed to the active roster Monday, a decision that officially marks the end of his path to Seattle after a collegiate career defined by a massive turnaround at Oregon State. My read on this transition is that the front office expects immediate contributions, especially since he racked up 2,168 yards and 24 total touchdowns during his final 2 seasons. Before this, he spent 2 years at Colorado where he saw minimal impact, making his recent surge a legitimate point of intrigue for those tracking personnel changes. To facilitate this addition, management waived running backs TJ Harden and Justin Jones immediately following a 17-7 preseason loss to the Dallas Cowboys. The bottom line here is that George Holani managed just 42 yards in that exhibition game, clearly failing to provide the coaching staff with the confidence they required at that spot. Do you think a mid-preseason shakeup like this actually fixes a depth issue, or are they just grasping at straws? Fans are naturally concerned that the current backfield rotation simply is not clicking as expected. The move adds real weight to the competition remaining throughout the rest of the preseason, as players know that one poor performance can end their tenure just as quickly as it happened for Harden and Jones. Does this signing signify a deeper dissatisfaction with the existing roster depth, or is it merely a low-risk attempt to find a diamond in the rough before the final cuts arrive? I am curious to see if Hankerson can translate his late college production to the professional level immediately, or if the coaching staff will remain in a state of constant flux while they hunt for reliability behind their primary starters. The pressure on this specific room is mounting, and I wonder which players will rise to the challenge next. Why would a roster choose to cycle through players during the most volatile part of the preseason? The decision to cut TJ Harden and Justin Jones only hours after a tough 17-7 defeat to Dallas feels like a desperate reset. When I look at these transactions, I see a front office that is clearly unhappy with their depth, especially since the existing candidates failed to move the needle on the field. Anthony Hankerson arrives after 2 seasons at Oregon State where he was undeniably productive, accounting for 24 scores and over 2,000 yards. My perspective is that this specific move highlights a front office strategy of constant evaluation. And this is the part that gets me. The team is effectively admitting that previous depth plans were insufficient. With George Holani managing just 42 yards against Dallas, the urgency to find a reliable backup has spiked significantly. Does this sudden shift suggest the staff is panicking, or are they simply holding out for someone who can actually handle the physical demands of the rotation? You have to wonder if a player like Hankerson can overcome his slow start at Colorado to provide the immediate punch the coaching staff wants. I suspect they are looking for a spark that translates across all 4 quarters of these exhibition games. Historically, keeping an open door for new talent during this window is high risk. Yet, it is often the only way to avoid a stagnant roster heading into September. If Hankerson demonstrates even a fraction of his recent collegiate efficiency, he might just secure that spot. But the lack of consistency in this room remains a glaring issue. I believe the coaching staff will keep hunting for options until the final roster deadline arrives, regardless of how many names they have to cycle through to find that perfect fit. So that's the news itself. Now let's get into what it actually means for the organization. My take is that swapping TJ Harden and Justin Jones for Anthony Hankerson serves as a blunt admission that the current production levels are simply not holding up under pressure. When a team clears out 2 bodies to make room for one individual after a blowout exhibition loss, you have to realize that management is searching for a reliable spark to ignite a stagnating rotation. Now here's the thing. That 42-yard performance from the backfield against Dallas was, quite frankly, a wake-up call for the entire coaching staff. I see this as an urgent attempt to bolster depth before the regular season schedule intensifies. By bringing in a player who accounted for over 2,000 yards at the collegiate level, they are clearly betting that his transition to this system will yield more immediate dividends than their previous options. Does this change the standing against division rivals like the Los Angeles Rams or San Francisco 49ers? It has to. If they cannot find consistent yardage from their reserve runners, their playoff path becomes significantly harder as they face demanding matchups where clock control matters. The pressure is on Hankerson to prove that his college production was no fluke. I wonder, can he step into this environment and provide the stability that has been missing during these early preseason snaps? Every decision from here on out needs to sharpen the roster if the organization hopes to compete at a high level. If they do not find a dependable secondary back quickly, the entire strategy for the offensive scheme will remain in question. Will this gamble pay off, or will they be back on the market hunting for talent before the next roster deadline arrives? Betting on college production to transition seamlessly into the professional ranks is a gamble front offices take every year. Yet, the arrival of Anthony Hankerson brings a unique set of questions for this backfield. By signing a runner with 2,068 yards and 24 total scores over his final 2 seasons at Oregon State, management is clearly prioritizing a proven finisher over the developmental uncertainty presented by TJ Harden and Justin Jones. Some might view this as a low-stakes move, but I see it as a direct acknowledgement that the current depth chart failed to meet the baseline standards set by the coaching staff. This is where it gets real, because the 42-yard output from George Holani against the Dallas Cowboys highlights a lack of urgency that this team simply cannot afford. If a player cannot provide immediate yardage, the door closes fast. The risk here is obvious. Can Hankerson adjust to the pace of this offense after spending his first 2 years at Colorado in a much smaller role? Analysts around the league are already questioning whether this late preseason shift is a sign of long-term roster instability or just an honest effort to patch a leak before the games start counting for real. My honest take here is that while the talent is undeniable, the lack of consistency in this rotation remains the primary hurdle they have to clear. Expecting one player to change the entire complexion of the backfield might be a stretch, though he brings a level of collegiate maturity that the previous candidates clearly lacked. I am eager to see how he handles the contact drills throughout the remainder of the exhibition window. Will he prove me right, or will the front office be forced to look elsewhere for answers? Only the next few practices will reveal if this gamble truly pays off. When you look at the immediate roster shift alongside the larger goal of building a reliable offensive depth chart, the picture becomes clear. Seattle is prioritizing proven collegiate production over developmental uncertainty. My take is simple. Adding Anthony Hankerson after his 24-touchdown stint at Oregon State is a direct, calculated move to fix a backfield that struggled to generate momentum against Dallas. The part fans are not ready for is how quickly this franchise is willing to pivot when players like TJ Harden and Justin Jones fail to provide the necessary production during preseason opportunities. This suggests that the front office plans to maintain a hyper-competitive environment for every single roster spot over the coming seasons. Does the addition of a runner with over 2,000 yards at the collegiate level change the way you view the current backfield hierarchy heading into the final exhibition games? I find myself wondering if you believe this move represents a long-term solution or simply a stopgap measure while the team continues scouting for more reliable depth. It is evident that the coaching staff remains dissatisfied with the output from players like George Holani, and this move shows they will not hesitate to cycle through personnel until they find the exact right fit for their system. Watching how Hankerson competes for reps during these final practices will tell us exactly how much faith they truly have in their new signing versus the existing rotation. I want to hear your thoughts on this situation down in the comments section. If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Seahawks, I will see you in the next one. Because the talent level across the roster remains high, expect plenty of fireworks throughout the upcoming season.